Okay, so this is the fourth lesson video, and here what we're going to do is we're going to identify or target our particular roll call votes within this sample that we downloaded from the VoteView website. So remember, the first 9 columns here, let me just show it to you on the variable view. If you go to this is the data view that shows you the actual entries, and so if we're in data view, you'll go down to 430 something, and you'll have all these different house members, right? So 445 because we got a few DC ones in there. And if you click on variable view, what you'll see this is the variable name, this is the strings, string width, and all this other stuff. And so if we go down to here, you should have 1,000 of them because that's roughly how many roll call votes that we have. Okay, so this is what we're looking for, somewhere in between this variable numbers. So basically up here at the 10th column, they don't label any of these roll call votes. They don't create column labels for them. They just call them variable numbers, right? So variable number 10 through 1,000 through 999. Now, this is what we have to do. We have to look for or target our variables, our votes within these variable numbers. And so I've got two different components that are going to be used to adjust or calculate my initial target. So my first vote took place. It was vote number 19 in the second session of Congress, meaning that there was a whole bunch of other votes cast in the first session of Congress before that 19th one was in the second one. The other piece of information that I have is I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different ones, variables coded before I start getting to the roll calls. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 9 plus the number of roll call votes in the first session, which is 512, and then I'm going to add to it the number of my roll call vote. So I'm going to take 9 plus 512 from the first session plus 19, which is when my vote was cast in the second session, and that's going to give me 540. All right, 540 is my target. The last vote cast, according to my bill, was vote number 34 in the last session, and so I'm going to take 9 plus 512 plus 34, and that equals 555. So if everything works out perfectly, my vote should be found between number 540, variable 540, and variable 555. Now, in truth and in reality, it's not going to be at 540. There's going to be some different things. Sometimes they drop variables associated with unanimous votes, and so sometimes we just get these kind of these differences between the start and finish number. And so what I'm going to do is my variable should be between 540 and 555. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take about 10 off of that. I'm going to shoot for about 10 early and shoot for about 10 late. So I'm going to go from 530 through 565 and see if I can identify my votes. Okay, so if I go down here, I'm thinking my votes should be right about in between 530 and later. Right, so I think it should be this one, but I'm going to start with 530 and go and look for it. Now, the best way to look for these is just take advantage of some reports that we can run with the system. So I'm going to just go down here. I'm going to go to Analyze. I'm going to go to Descriptive Statistics and Frequencies. I'm going to do the frequency calculation. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go down. I'm going to page down. Start with 530. And then I'm going to go down to 565. And I'm going to take those over, and then I'm just going to click OK. It's going to display some frequency tables for me, and it's going to go in here. And so this is where the output happens. Okay, so this is the output file, and you'll notice it'll do this first frequency table, but the tables we're interested in are these. So this is the variable number, variable 530, and then it'll tell you the number that you had for zeros, which is not voting. 1 is an aye, 6 is a nay, 9 is pass or something like that. So we're primarily interested in 1s and 6s. So you should be able to go through your list, your congressional ProQuest bill summary, and you should be able to find or target where these things are located. So I know for my first House vote, I had 177 ayes. I had 52 ayes for the next one, and I had 236 after that. So I'm looking for a sequence of 177, 52, and 236. So let me write that down. 177, 52 ayes, and then 236. And that'll be votes number 19, 20, and 21. Now, this data is going to have some errors in it. It'll have the president in it and some other people that we're going to have to delete later. But what I'll do is I'll look for that kind of sequence that matches up to that, and that'll tell me the beginning point. So I'm looking here: 421, no. 378, no. 13, no. 179, that's pretty close to what I'm looking for. So 179, 249, my first vote was 177, 245. So I'm off a couple in both ways, but that could be kind of some of these duplicate entries for House members or the president or something like that. So that looks like my first vote. My first vote looks like 534. Okay. The next vote I was looking for had 53 aye votes, or 52, and it's got 53, 377, 372. So that looks like right. The one after that was 236, and this one's pretty close. 236, 189. All right, so this looks to be about the right sequence. If I go to my last vote is going to be House roll call number vote 34, and that has 236, 187. So I'm going to take 15. So I start at 534, add 15 to that, and I'm going to be at 549. Let me go down to 549 and see if that matches up. Alright, so 549, 236, 187. I got 240, 189. So that's pretty close. So all of these are pretty close, and it looks like my sequence goes from 534 to 549. Okay? That's what I need to do. That's what I need to import. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to minimize this. I'm going to go to the variable tab, and in the variable tab, I'm going to start up here. Very top. I'm going to select that row. I'm going to shift and down arrow. Actually, I don't want to do that. That won't work. So I'm going to go up here. I'm going to click on 10 and just keep dragging the arrow down. And it takes a while, but that's all we have to do. Alright, so my first one is 534. Once I have these highlighted, I'm simply going to right click and I'm going to put clear, and it'll get rid of those variables. Okay, so the 10th column will be my 534. My last vote is going to be 549. And I can't do that either. You have to click on the row and drag. So drag all the way to the bottom. Right click, clear. And so I have my data. I've got this first 9 columns, and then I have my first vote, 534, and my last vote, variable 549. Okay, so at this point I've deleted all the other variables that didn't reflect the roll call votes associated with my public law. That left me with my 15 roll call votes, variable 534, all the way through 549. what I need to do now is I need to do a couple things. The first thing that I want to do is I want to save this because this has got to be turned in. So I'm going to go up here, I'm going to click File, Save As, and it takes a while, but it's because it's interconnected in this this deal. I should be still on desktop, and so it should go. So yeah, there's poli-sci and there's desktop, so that's fine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to save this as. It's really slow when it goes in. So hold on one second. Okay, it took me a while to enter in the name. Just once you have it there, click it, save. And it takes a while. And I should be able to minimize this, and I should have it. It should pop out on your desktop. And so there it is, pols5013p1-data. You're going to turn that file in. The other thing that you need to do is go back to this roll call data, that initial roll call sheet, the macro sheet. And you remember we had the roll call number here. You need to enter in the roll call values in this spreadsheet. Okay? So that's what I would do, and make sure you do that before you turn it in. That'll be part of the grade as well. Okay. Some of you may not have like a sequence of roll call votes like this where they're all in one block. You may come back and have a conference vote later or something like that. It's the same process. You just go and look for them and delete them in the sequence. So you should have 10 to 15, and sometimes they're in a block, sometimes they're not, but you just kind of have to hunt and peck for them and then find them. And then later, when we get down to actually finalizing and creating the variables, we'll reconcile those values and make sure that we get we delete the ones that are offsetting our initial frequency tabs. So that is the third task of creating the micro level database, which is the SPSS database right there. Okay, that's good.